Enforcement directives. The BJP is weaponizing central agencies against political rivals. The Directorate ED's searches on January 8 in Kolkata at locations linked to the Indian Political Action Committee IPAC are a development said to be repeated in the runoff to the West Bengal Assembly election. IPAC is a political consultancy firm that spearheaded the ruling TMC's election campaign in 2021. The ED said the searches were part of an ongoing money laundering investigation unrelated to the election and aimed at tracing the proceeds of the crime. The TMC held protests across the state on Friday, even as the raids were on. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee went to the IPAC office and accused the Bharatiya Janata Party BJP led central government of using central agencies for political vendetta. She called the raids an attack on democracy and accused the ED of attempting to seize the TMC's internal political strategy, data, and digital material ahead of the election. The ED claims its officials were obstructed and the documents were removed from the premises and has approached the Kolkata High Court. This is not the first time that central agencies, the ED, the Central Bureau of Investigation, and the IT department have confronted state governments run by opposition parties. A pattern is visible across time and space that makes Ms. Banerjee's claim notable, and the ED's assertion that its actions were unlinked to politics. Fable. Regardless of the merits of the case, the ED's action and its timing bring into spotlight several issues related to the fairness and integrity of the electoral process. Center state relations and the election funding. Incumbents are the center and in the states enjoy certain advantages in any election, but the vigilance and fairness of the Election Commission of India, the judiciary, the media, and the IT department could level the playing fields to some extent. Partisan behavior, institutional shortcomings, and the weaponization of state power by incumbents are factors that can render such checks and balances ineffective or impossible. ED raids that tangentially target the TNC follow a pattern of the incumbent at the center using state power to corner a party that runs the state government. It is worth recalling that the IT department froze all bank accounts of the principal opposition party, the Congress, during the 2024 general election. The very fact that agencies and the institutions tend to be hyperactive against opposition governments and parties and never against the BJP or its associates is itself revealing. The BJP appears willing to stretch all rules of the game to win in West Bengal, but it should also consider what India might be losing in that pursuit, the confidence of the people in the integrity of state institutions. De-dollarization fear. US's move on oil reflect its uneasiness over global trade and finance. Res- President Donald Trump's urgency to push the Russia sanctions bill through Congress, granting him the power to impose tariffs of up to 500% on nations buying oil from Moscow, is officially framed as a punitive measure to weaken Russia's war economy. Yet, this legislative push comes just after the capture of Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro on January 3. Throughout his press briefings thereafter, Mr. Trump emphasized Venezuela's vast oil reserves as America's underlying strategic interest. This twin focus on Russian sanctions and Venezuelan oil assets suggests that both measures are less about geopolitical penalization and more about protecting the petrodollar's dominance at a time when its hegemony is eroding. For decades, oil has been priced and largely settled in US dollars. That system underpinned the dollar's centrality in global finance for much of the late 20th century. But since the sanctions on Russia following its 2014 annexion of Crimea and more vigorously after the Ukraine invasion in 2022, major consumers such as China and India have deepened depend trading arrangements that circumvent the dollar. India, for instance, imported substantial volumes of Russian crude since 2022, accounting for more than 20% of Russia's war period crude exports. China's purchases were even larger, reflecting its strategy to secure energy at a discount and experiment with non dollar settlement mechanisms. China's use of the yuan in energy trade has significantly enhanced the internationalization of the renminbi. India has also reportedly begun paying more for some Russian crude in yuan, signaling small but telling shifts in how global energy commerce is conducted. Meanwhile, the oil market is evolving with the global energy transition. Electric vehicle sales led by China are reshaping demand patterns. Mr. Trump's return to oil rhetoric and policy thrust must thus be read in the context of this transition. China's dominance in the EV ecosystem represents a structural challenge not just to oil firms but also to the broader economic and financial architecture that supported US dominance for decades. In this light, it is not far fetched to argue that America's aggressive moves in Venezuela and its hard-line strategy against Moscow on oil and not much less are aimed more at curtailing China's expanding influence both in energy markets and in pushing alternatives to the petrodollar than at addressing geopolitical grievances. Moreover, the specter of a parallel currency arrangement contemplating by BRICS as a challenge to the mighty dollar further unsettles traditional dollar-centric financial orders. What is at stake is not merely oil or geopolitics, but the architecture of global trade and finance at a moment of historic